When you think about quintessential American companies, not to mention global giants, Walmart has got to come to mind. And so too, for those of you in this room, does its data and technology prowess. And so on behalf of the EC19 team, I'm thrilled that Joe Park, Walmart's Chief Digital Architect and VP of Associate Digital Experience, will be sharing his vision with us today. Joe leads teams responsible for driving growth and productivity by providing Walmart's global workplace of more than 2.3 million associates with consumer-grade technology. Joe also oversees strategy, engineering, and operations for the enterprise's infrastructure, client, mobility, collaboration, and productivity digital platforms. And he's responsible for intranet solutions and leads enterprise architecture, user experience design, and user interface design. I could go on, but instead I'm going to cue up a video, and Joe will take the stage in just a moment.
You guys hungry?
What's happening?
It's the future, Michael.
Oh, I'm not Michael.
Oh, don't worry, he calls everyone Michael.
Hey. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Morning. I'm excited to be here with you all this morning. This is my first Enterprise Connect, so it's great to be here at this venue. And I'd just like to thank Eric and Beth for having this session and inviting us as a Walmart team to come out here and speak. So what I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about Walmart, talk about our transformation, talk a little bit more about kind of how we're changing how we work to better serve our customers, and finally share our perspective as a customer when it comes to enterprise platforms. So when we look at Walmart, a couple things pop out. We've got over 12,000 stores-ish across the world, 4,700 stores here in the US, 600 Sam's Clubs, and an e-commerce arm. We are the world's largest private employer. With 2.2 million associates, we think about collaboration and communication quite a lot. Not a day that goes by that we don't think about how to serve our frontline and also our knowledge workers. With over 150 distribution centers, 260 million customers a week in our stores, and fun fact, with 90% of our US citizens, or Americans rather, living within 10 miles of a Walmart store, scale's a big deal. Now, some of you in this room, some consumers, might still associate Walmart with everyday low cost, with everyday low prices. You might still think about the big box retailer, and you might also consider it to be a place where you go if you just need something that costs really cheap. What folks may not realize, and hopefully some of you do, is that we're building a brand new Walmart. It started a few years ago where we realized that we're going to have to change how we work to serve our customers. That means we're making shopping easier, faster, and we're making it more enjoyable. If you take a look at what we've done on the digital side, on the right-hand side here, we've acquired a lot of companies when it comes to e-commerce. I think Jet.com is a notable brand, Moose Jaw, Bonobos. We have Flipkart, which is a recent acquisition. And all this kind of comes together because what our customers want is to connect the physical brick and mortar with the online experience, and we call that omnichannel. To power all this, we really have to think about technology, and that means having the capabilities in-house to deliver these solutions. So, a couple examples down below. We've opened a tech hub in Austin, Texas. There's a great partnership going on with Microsoft, where we're hiring data scientists, UX designers, cloud experts on Azure, and bringing them all together to deliver these solutions. And we've also got one in Dallas that we've also recently opened. So why are we doing all this? We've got a lot of technology talent we're bringing into Walmart. We are a tech company, and we're continuing to grow this arm. It really starts with the customer. If you take a look back, I think just having the lowest price and the most variety or assortment of goods was enough to get a customer in your store and do really well. But as we all know, with technology, that's changed. For customers, that's not enough. They want access to shop in different ways, and you've got to have a great experience. You got to have a clean store. It's got to be quick and pretty much convenient to mirror what they have in their consumer-grade world. Customers want the ability to have the shopping online experience with that brick and mortar, and that's what we're going to go big on. So let's take a look at a few examples. That commercial you just saw, which is one of my favorites, has online grocery pickup, where we have 21 locations here in the US and growing. And the way it works is, as a customer, you order your groceries online, you pick a time slot, you drive your car to the nearest Walmart store, and if you're a busy parent, mom or dad, the best part is you go, you park, and someone comes in, despite kids kicking and screaming, and load up your car. And then you just drive on off. That's a terrific experience. Top right, Sam's Club. When I think about going to a supermarket or any other retail outlet, you associate it with a lot of parking spaces that might be filled up, long lines, and you really just want to go in and out. The Sam's Club app, Scan and Go, you just download it, you go take your shopping cart, scan things as you put them in your basket, and you just pay for it on your app, and you leave, just showing your receipt. That's all it is. You skip the lines. Bottom left, some of you may have seen this. Some of you may have seen this during the holiday season. We've equipped all of our associates in a couple of stores with point-of-sale devices, where let's say you want to go into a Walmart, just get a pack of gum. That's all you wanted. You just find the nearest associate with one of these point-of-sale devices, they scan it, swipe, and you're out. Again, that's mirroring what our customers are seeing and what they want when it comes to patterns of shopping. And finally, bottom right is our orange pickup tower. You order online, you go in, you scan your barcode, and in seconds, you try it out, this machine just pops out your purchased good, and you're up and out. Now, this is what we're doing for customers. And customers are really enjoying it, and we're seeing the difference with our NPS scores. But at the same time, if we're doing all this for our customers, how do we relate this to our associates? Well, it's not much different. We've got a couple examples here where if you take a look at this first image, we have robots that we're rolling out that scan the shelves to see if goods are in or out of stock, and it just sends data to an associate to say on their app, hey, this one's out. This box of cereal, can of soup, you should probably restock it. And what that really does is enables our associate to spend more time talking to customers, providing customer service, versus doing the manual, repetitive, joyless task of just looking for things if they're zeros or ones. Same thing with a robotic floor cleaner. For us, this is a big deal. I don't know by a show of hands if anyone would say they enjoy cleaning or mopping the floor. Our associates, I'm assuming, wouldn't. So another thing that we're automating away to let humans do what they do best and machines do what they do best. And finally, we've got this fast unloader. It's pretty magical. What it does is when a truck comes into a store, the boxes get onto this conveyor belt, and the machine does all the work of understanding which ones are high priority out-of-stock boxes, might be baby diapers, and it'll sort it into another area versus something that might already be in stock that's not as urgent. And that lets us serve our customers better and helps our associates do their job a lot more efficiently. So with all these things going on, we want to use technology to amplify human potential. Right now, we know that these associates are getting some tech support in the form of automation. But our goal, and we'll switch to this topic, is to really empower all 2.2 million associates across all of Walmart, whether you're on the front line or whether you're an office worker. But we also know AI doesn't always go right. We know technology doesn't always go right. So we've got a video that we're going to show that kind of demonstrates how we view the future, how we view technology, and how we view it all coming together. So when it comes to painting that future, at Walmart, we really believe in that expression, people-led, tech-empowered. And what's foundational to all that is data. So when we take a look at data at Walmart, it's kind of funny. We take a look at the consumer space first off, because that's so close to us in retail. And it's always fun explaining to people who are outside the technology space, explaining why companies are buying smart security devices, smart home devices. Companies are spending a lot of money either creating or buying their way to get more data. And that's because, as we all know, companies have figured out that the more data you have about a customer, and you know how they live, you know how they shop, you know their preferences, you can monetize that. And by monetizing it, you can then sell them more, get more data, more feedback loops, on and on. We know that story. We see it playing out in our personal lives. Well, the argument we make at Walmart is these companies would kill to have the amount of data we all have internally within our companies. Enterprise data. Here we're at Enterprise Connect. I think everyone knows that we have all these pockets of data across these companies inside, and it's an untapped source. So Walmart, the way we think about data is really in several ways. One, we don't believe that you can ever have too much data. We actually believe that all the sources of data, whether it's a call center data, IVR data, whether it's tied to telemetry showing jitter, whether it's tied to productivity platforms, teamwork, collaboration platforms, all that's fair game, and we want to stitch it all together. But it's not just technology. For us, we actually want to connect data across the entire enterprise. I think you heard some of this from earlier sessions today and even yesterday. For us, if you take a look at HR data, that's a really powerful thing. If we know who you are, and through the technology platforms know how you work, and you have a feedback loop, that's where you can really make some magic. And I'm going to share some examples of what we've done at Walmart to make that really help our associates. And finally, for us, we want to ensure responsible use of data. You might have heard Bob Davis yesterday from Microsoft talk about the 6 principles that Microsoft uses for AI. We're mirroring the same thing at Walmart. The general rule of thumb here around data governance, data security, data privacy is if it doesn't feel good in terms of the employee data you're collecting and what you might be able to do with it, you probably shouldn't do it. So that general philosophy is how we're approaching it. So let's take a look at data. For us, we're hearing Enterprise Connect. We're all here. We're talking about best of breed, one-stop shop. The point of view we have is we, as a customer for Walmart, these technologies will continue to change. They'll continue to evolve, and the investments will continue to grow. But if you can tap into the data fundamentally within these platforms, whether it's HR, cybersecurity types of platforms, ERPs, it's all the same to us. You're able to take a look at HR systems and have data sets like, your hire date, your first start date, anniversary dates within a company. IoT, take a look at routers, access points to see the density connected to an access point so you can start mirroring the patterns and traffic flow in a building. Meeting rooms to see who's going in and out, counting number of participants, seeing meeting minutes. Buildings, badge data. The list goes on. And this is what I meant by the fact that we have all this data already. We don't need to buy it. We kind of already paid for it, so it's ours. And through open sourced code, through API, through our data lake technology, this all comes together. And we'll share what we've built at Walmart that will unlock the value. And hopefully everyone who's watching or listening can have a point of view on if this could work for you. Now, having said this, data might be the answer to everything. But we also believe data is dumb. It's raw. Just by itself, it's really not any good. There was actually a Harvard Business Review article last year that talked about a young startup called Rise Science. They specialized in sleep optimization, and they really helped colleges and professional sports teams manage peak performance, because the more sleep you get, the better quality sleep you get, the better you'll perform the next day. And this young startup, they really thought that they had a data visualization problem. They thought their app would do better on the App Store and they'd get more customers just by virtue of having prettier charts. And so they invited the famous design firm IDEO to come. And when IDEO came, here's what they showed them. This was the app. This is the app going to college and professional athletes. And when they saw this app, they were kind of confused. Their days are already so regimented. They've got structured schedules. and throwing charts with heart rates, the hours and microseconds, like all this stuff, it's kind of confusing. And what IDEO realized was it was just way too focused on the data, and they weren't focused enough on the user experience. So after studying these athletes and the users, kind of like zoo animals, and doing UX principles and design thinking, here was the after, right, before and after. They realized that the athletes just needed to know, when do I go to bed and when do I wake up, good or bad, thank you. And then let me drill down into the charts and get all the data I need and geek out as needed. And this alone, this one change by applying design, had them sign up 15 professional sports teams and collegiate sports teams to take advantage of this app 18 months later. So our approach is it's not just about the data. It's an incredibly powerful thing, especially when you apply AI and machine learning. But you also have to think about design. And for us, that's a really big deal. These two kind of go in tandem. You can't really separate the two. And you'll see how this relates to collaboration and communication. First, we start with the problem, not the answer. We don't look to buy products out there in the market for Walmart and then say, what do we do now? How many users can we get on it? How do we have a change management plan? How do we make sure we drive adoption up and just beat it into everyone? That's not typical of how things succeed. We prefer things to go viral. But we try to understand the problem. Even meeting room technologies for us, we've looked at a couple of vendors. We have meeting rooms and offices because of users. We don't have users because we have some technology installed in terms of codec or some kind of platform in the room. We use design to ask questions, knowing that we're going to fail. And I know this requires a lot of shifting to the right brain side to really know intimately what the needs are of your customers. But it's a difference between success or failure within the enterprise. And finally, like data, design's an asset. It doesn't come at the end. For us, it's really from the beginning and throughout. It's in all of our sprints. There's not a conversation that doesn't go by where we're talking about personas. That's really intimately a way to know who the individual is, and knowing that someone who's an employee in finance is fundamentally different than someone in marketing, is fundamentally different than someone in legal. That matters. Those things matter, and if you try to have a one-size-fits-all model, good luck. Here's how it plays out. If we were to model what the experience is like for most people from 7:30 a.m. or whenever you start your day to about 10 a.m., it might look a little like this, and each bubble representing kind of the pain points or emotions that fluctuate throughout the day. Parking, depending on where you are, whether urban, suburban, might be a big deal. Wayfinding your way to a meeting, that comes up quite a bit. Email, sometimes you get actually work done in the morning if you're not traveling between offices. And we know meetings and collaboration just tends to be difficult. That's why I think a lot of companies like Microsoft, who you just saw right before me, they're working on technology because these are all experience pain points that people have. Now, we could spend all of our time on this. We could spend the next year trying to solve for these problems, but with all that data we just talked about, plus applying UX and looking at personas, is this where we want to focus? Is this the problem we want to solve? And for us, we think we can do better. We think that the technology is ready today. And the way we think about it is imagining a better future that's people-led and tech-empowered. So what if we wanted to build a better manager? I think we'd all like to have better managers or a more inclusive workplace. Let's start with HR data. I'm assuming every company knows when someone has a new employee and when they're about to start their first day, and also know who their manager is. Fingers crossed, I really hope everyone knows that data, and we have it in our databases. Second, we have calendar data, and we know when someone's free or is busy. And you can look at patterns using machine learning or just simple data analytics to see, hey, what's the best available slot in someone's day throughout the week to schedule a meeting with them. And finally, we all can look at preferences based on active users, whether it's instant messaging, whether it's a laptop, a mobile device, lots of ways to see what's this persona's preferred tool. What could you do if you combine these three things together? Walmart, here's what we've built. We're pretty bullish on this, and we think that by building a platform in this video, which I'll talk over, we can do some amazing things. So imagine someone's working on their laptop, and we know they're available at this moment, and we know they have a brand new hire. Taking advantage of Windows 10 push notifications, or Mac, we can do it on both, we've done it. Hey there, just noticed you have a brand new hire today. HR data told us. Don't forget these 5 things to make them feel more welcome. Okay. You get a nudge. Schedule one-on-one, take them out to lunch, introduce them to the team, on and on and on. 5 really, really obvious insights, but when you're busy, you might forget, but that nudge will remind you. But let's say we know for a fact, because our data shows us, that you prefer being on mobile. Same message, different platform. This is what I meant by being platform agnostic. I really don't care. For us, we'll find where you are, how you work, and find a means to get the same message to you. And finally, let's say you don't prefer any of that. Let's say you use instant messaging. Let's say in this example, you're using Zoom chat. Using a proactive chatbot, which we've built, you can then send the same exact message. So 3 different ways, same message, a timely nudge. Now let's think about personas. For us, if you're getting that concept of knowing who someone is and kind of their peer group or their identity, you can also figure out the meetings they're in and what they've booked and the meeting rooms they're going to be in, and telemetry to see what they've got on their devices. Could we increase collaboration without needing to spend tens of millions of dollars on a whole platform? Maybe. We got Carlos here, who's going into a meeting. We know he's booked it, so it's associated to his employee ID. While he's joining, we've already scanned his laptop through Windows 10 SCCM, or it could be on Apple with Jamf. And here's a message personalized just for him. We noticed 7 out of your 10 peers have OneNote installed on your computer. Scan this QR code for over-the-air delivery to your device. Think about that. Now we're playing air traffic controller centrally, platform agnostic, and you're able to use machine learning to detect patterns and send folks to a certain path. You're eliminating that noise so people don't have to decide. We're kind of giving the invisible hand approach so that they're able to be more productive. Another example, this is a favorite. So now people are thinking, all right, this is great, all the soft, fuzzy stuff. My CFO doesn't care. How do you actually save money? How do you be more productive? We have the same problem. So when you look at personas and take financial data, whether it's in your general ledger, whether it's tied to a contract, and mix that with consumption, the actual usage of a tool, here's what we've done. We've actually piloted this with several hundred users. I think by the end of this month, we're going to go to 500 and roll it out to the rest of the company very soon. Imagine you're working. It's towards the end of the month. This is a real email, by the way. We send this out to Kaylee and say, hey, Kaylee, look, we've kind of tracked your spending habits and your usage habits. We want to change how we work, drive everyday low cost. That's part of our culture. And we noticed you have this Walmart app that you've never used. And by the way, it costs $185 a year. Would you like to release it? We're not taking it away from you. We can also see your consumption, if it's print, telecom, the 800 numbers, or licenses, and compare you against the average. We've gamified it. And we've actually seen instant results by doing this because you can't manage what you can't measure. And finally, same concept. We've scanned their BYOD, but now we're putting people into groups because these are the subcultures and norms they formed, and suggesting they move on to an app that their peers, maybe it's the direct manager, maybe it's the VP, but we can start putting these patterns together to help associates see what they're missing out on. Because we've always run into that challenge of what tools are available or there are too many tools. I think we can drastically cut out on the noise by moving towards this model. And finally, last example, I mentioned the badge data. We talked about HR information to know when someone's first start date is, and even geolocation. Again, we have all this information in our company. What can we do? So in this case, we're going to talk about an associate. This is a real associate who's starting on their first day. Badge data triggers our data lake to know that Terrell has badged in. It's his first day. And as he comes in, our digital signage links up to this data to make it a little more inclusive of an environment. You can start mentioning where they sit based on geolocation, make other associates feel engaged, and what a wonderful way for Terrell to feel like the company cares. Because if anyone takes a look at attrition data for any company in the first 90 days, that first impression could be a make or break. So what I'll end on right now is that we've got all these choices around tools. It's just a never-ending discussion. But if we can start connecting all those data sets together, and by the way, these are really simple ones. Within Walmart, we're also thinking about what we could do with telemetry, managing meeting data, IVR. But if you kind of move to that sophisticated use case and build these interaction layers with data and design, we think that this has got tremendous potential. For us, this is the next big thing where you're going to see a shift from consumer data to the enterprise data because there's so much that we haven't done to drive productivity and engagement. So with that, I want to thank everyone for having us up on stage and share our vision.
Joe, thank you so much. I love that messaging. People, not technology, need to be at the heart of a digital future. That's fantastic. We just have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions before you head off. Obviously, we see downstairs on the show floor a ton of technology. So how do you decide on the tools you're going to use at Walmart?
Yeah, so for us, it comes down to personas. We view every group, every associate as an individual. Having been in the healthcare space, the way we like to think about it is, you treat the patient, not the population. And it's funny, when it's healthcare, everyone kind of agrees with that. It's no different with technology. And so for us, as we think about the user research that goes on within these different groups, following them throughout their day and tailoring the solutions, that's made a big difference because the fragmentation does occur and you can't make everyone happy. But we also apply NPS scores to all of our products. The vision here is by the end of the year that every single one of Walmart's apps and services will have an NPS score tied to it, where you can time series it, saying, well, this product here in January was rated at 40%. February was another score. And we can start correlating the actual feature additions or removals to make decisions throughout the year on what we want to keep based on the NPS scores by the personas or remove from Walmart's environment.
And is that transparent to your users? Just curious.
Oh yeah, for us, we share the NPS scores out on digital signage today. We're going to be expanding that out to more of our town halls. But for us, the more transparent we've made it, the more positive the reception we've had.
Okay. So what are you seeing, in terms of the new communications tools, communications and collaboration tools? How are they helping to empower your people?
Yeah, for us, when I think about the tools that are coming out and where we see the trends, I think data or information overload's been top of mind for a lot of people. Over the last 10, 15 years. What we're really optimistic about is we're seeing that a lot more technologies are helping really save time and the clutter. What we love are things like video transcription. You saw with Microsoft. I think a lot of the major messaging and video conference platforms are offering it today. That's the ability to hone in on facial pattern recognition or speech to text and just jump right to where you want. We're seeing a lot of the Office 365-like products helping us focus on email. And so we're seeing a sharpening and personalization of content, which really hadn't been there in several years past. And I think that's going to end up saving a lot of time for the way in which we work.
Okay. Now, I read a recent LinkedIn post that you wrote, and you talked about the associate experience, making technology simple, convenient, and personalized, right? And you shared some great examples today of how you're doing that. But let's look a little bit further out, maybe 3 years or so. What do you see for the future?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to come into the office, and it's going to feel like their version of the office. Coming in, I think you're going to see that your meeting room is going to be reactive to you. Your software is going to be reactive to you. And it seems distant, but we know it's not, because like you saw some of these examples, for us, if we get that right, everyone's going to have a view of their world, but also know how to interact with others. And we just think that with AI and machine learning kind of growing and continuing to mature, especially in the communication collaboration space, that we're going to see some pretty wonderful things.
It's all about technology empowering people, as you said, right?
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you so much. We really appreciate you sharing your vision with our audience.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone.